Hey there, welcome to day 18 of our Get Up and Go Challenge, our 40-day, I know, 40 days of our Get Up and Go Challenge. We're almost halfway there already, which is sort of amazing. We're past the third of, well, actually more than a third of waypoint, so we're almost halfway there. And today, we're gonna go through, for the third time, our SOAP process, right? And SOAP, with our SOAP process, S stands for story. Now, yesterday our challenge was to pick an area. Let me grab my little handy dandy chart, which is really bad. I'm sad and sorry that I haven't redone it. But it's our little chart of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution. The 7 areas that I've always used, and since I learned it probably like 35 years ago from Tony Robbins, and I'm sure he got it from Jim Rohn or someone else, or everything can be tracked back to, you know, some of the granddaddies of personal development. But each of these areas, so I went through physical the first time, right? And that's one I'm going to continue to work on for the rest of my life. We all are, right? Actually, guess what? Secret? You're never going to get done with any of these areas, much less all of these areas. We are all a work in progress for our entire life. That's our purpose, is to be here and to continually become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be. And that means we address or we think about or we give some attention to each of these areas. So physically, did physical first, still doing that, still no sugar, which I gotta tell you, some days are harder than others because it's amazing when we're bored or tired or whatever, the first thing we want to do, at least in my life, has been to reach for a snack or something sweet or a treat, something with sugar to give us that little energy boost. And it's really interesting. Today is, I can't remember, well, day 18 for me today of no sugar. So yesterday, day 17, which should be a no-brainer after day 10 usually for me on things like that. But every once in a while, things pop up. Yesterday, I really wanted sugar, but I didn't have any. Probably because I went out for lunch with my sister and my granddaughter, and you know, she comes back with this giant piece of chocolate cake. Temptation! But guess what? Every time you say no to something that used to tempt you in the past, your willpower gets a little stronger. Your commitment to yourself gets a little stronger. And every time, you know, our commitment to ourselves is like a muscle. It's like being on time. If we commit to something and we just, every time we're on time, we give ourselves a little positive reinforcement and we prove to ourselves, hey, I can be on time all the time. Why do I give that as an example? Because that used to be a terrible one for me. When I was raising my kids, I was late for everything except work-related things. But any family-related event or thing, oh my gosh, they would actually, my family actually started telling me that we were going to do things an hour early so that I would be there on time with my kids. And we could actually eat dinner for a holiday at a decent time, which is terrible because to me, work, I would never be late for a meeting or anything. It was very important to me to always be on time, and really on time meant early, right? On time was always a minimum of 5 to 10 minutes early. So we pick an area of our life we're going to work on. Did physical, we'll continue to work on that. The second time around through our SOAP model, I use a financial example, which I am still continuing and building on and creating. I'm actually creating something with one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. So that should be really exciting. I mean, I'm actually excited and fun about that. And then today, yesterday decided I would do relationships. And I will tell you, this one actually woke me up in the middle of the night, and I was thinking about it for hours. And I haven't done that for anything for actually a really long time. Most people are losing sleep during the COVID virus and all the trauma and drama and things that are going on in our world. And I have actually been sleeping pretty well until I started thinking about this whole topic of relationships. Now, if you recall, relationships is one of my lowest scored areas, and it's a personal assessment, right? I say, and that's me judging myself and where I am in that area of my life. Now, I got divorced recently, not recently, heck, I got divorced 5 years ago, so that's not recently. I shouldn't be telling myself that's recent. I got divorced 5 years ago, but just finalized things in the last couple of weeks. And I know it sounds like it took a long time. Guess what? It did take a long time. It was dragged out and stretched out, partly because I dragged it out and stretched it out, and partly because we had such a intertwined life, not only our lives, but our work relationships and our businesses. We had lots of stuff together that needed to be separated and dealt with. And, you know, some of it will still be being dealt with probably for the next 5 years, but the biggest portion of it is now done and taken care of, and that's a huge relief. So I could pick that as my area of relationship that I wanted to work on, and that's the one that's the hardest for me. My personal committed relationship, that's the hardest one for me, like dating, things like that. But then I got to thinking about all of my friendships, all of the friendships, and how friendships have come and gone. And now my brain is automatically going to the lifeline exercise where I draw out in my brain, okay, friendships, personal relationship, you know, the dating and marriage and that type of relationship. So I call those intimate relationships, or just, you know, one-on-one committed relationships, that kind of thing. And then through my friendships and through different things. And it's interesting through different areas and aspects of our life where things combine and sometimes go in the same direction, but sometimes go in the opposite direction, right? Like when I got married, you would think friendships would have gone in the upper direction, but actually the friends that we had that were couples went that way, but all of my female friendships were actually forcibly let go of. They had to be let go of, not because I wanted to let go of them, but because I let someone else influence me in a way that caused me to end those relationships. Or they just fizzled away because they didn't get any time or attention, especially once I had my kids. You know, life gets so busy that we don't pay attention to some of the things that are really important to us. So then I thought, well, maybe I'll go through this and I'll tell my story about friendships and you know, relationships, friendships that I've had throughout my life. And maybe that's the area I want to work on. And then, of course, as always happens, my real feelings about the topic kicked in, and I realized that the number one relationship I personally need to work on right now is my relationship with myself. Because guess what? That's the foundational relationship that impacts every other thing, every other choice, every other decision, every other relationship I will or will not have. And then I actually thought about maybe it's work relationships, and I need to use that as my focus for this. And I will, and all of that is, if I'm being true and I'm going down to the foundation and the core of where I personally need to do the work, it isn't on relationships with people at work, it isn't on friendships, it isn't on an intimate relationship, it's on my relationship with myself. Because guess what? My relationship with myself impacts every other area of this my life, right? It impacts everything. So I've had a very tumultuous relationship with myself over my 60 years of life, but that is going to be the emphasis of my work on the SOAP model over the next 4 days, over today and beyond. And so I have to ask myself the questions: where am I right now with my relationship with myself, and where do I want to be? Do I have a relationship with myself that I am satisfied with? Am I satisfied? Because guess what? That relationship number, as far as the relationship with myself, a 5 isn't good enough for a relationship with yourself, right? The level of satisfaction or the level of success in any one area is determined by the foundation of that area. So if I only have a level 5 relationship with myself, because let's be honest, I've been working on myself for 60 plus years, and that means sometimes I've worked on myself and being a better person a lot, other times I've just gone through the motions of life and not worked on myself at all, or my personal development. And now I'm at a point in my life when I actually can focus on being who I want to be and focusing on becoming the best version of myself and the person that I am here to be, and find the people that I'm here to serve and help the people I'm here to help. But I can't do that if I only have a relationship that's a 5 or less with myself. And the level of that whole relationship category will never go any higher than the relationship I feel like I have with myself. Therefore, that is going to be the area that I work on over the next 4 days, and probably for the rest of my life, right? Because I'm going to need to work on it for the rest of my life. But I'm going to actually pay attention to it, concentrate, and do some things to impact that, to exponentially move me in the direction I want to go, so that I can raise my relationships in all of the other areas of my life. So that's where I am now. I guess now I'm probably at a 5 or less, right? Now, this is, again, with me doing lots of work over 60 years, lots of personal development stuff. So think if I hadn't done any of that stuff, heck, I'd probably be a 2 or a 3. So that'll be the area that I'm working on. So I picked my area, picked the area of emphasis. Now, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to say, what is my story right now that I'm telling myself about myself? And then what do I want it to be? Well, I want it to be a heck of a lot better. I want to be a lot more confident, more empowered, more self-directed, more doing things that are in alignment with my core values, not other people's. And I've come a long way in that area, but I'm nowhere near where I want to be to show up in this world the way that I know I should and I can, and I want to be showing up in this world. So then, what I actually really like about choosing this, although it took me losing sleep to make a decision to choose this one to share, is that it hits on the mental, the emotional, the spiritual area as well, and physical, because guess what? Everything shows up in our bodies, right? So it really hits on a lot more levels than just the relationship level. That's why I like it, because as I evaluate my relationship with myself, I will learn and understand, well, what triggered that, what mental thinking, what emotions have got me believing certain things about myself in certain ways. So I was dreading talking about it, but I'm actually starting to get excited about working on it as I talk about it, because now I can give myself permission to evaluate certain aspects of my identity and myself and my ego and see where they're holding me back and where I need to just let go of certain things and forgive certain things. And mostly I'm learning about forgiveness that forgiveness isn't about forgetting a situation or letting a situation go or even saying that something that happened was okay, because a lot of what happens to us in our lives, it is freaking not okay in any way, shape, or form of our imagination. Yet we need to forgive the parties involved in that, but mostly we need to forgive ourselves. I don't know if you're like that, but I know that, take my divorce for example. When I think about my relationship with my ex-husband, I don't blame him, and to be honest, he did something unforgivable, and that's, you know, part of our divorce. He did a lot of unforgivable things, but some things that were just against my core values, and I finally had to say, that's it, that's enough. But I'm not mad at him. I'm mad at myself for, this is a huge realization, I am mad at myself because I have not 100% forgiven myself for picking the wrong person for me in the first place. Well, you know what? That's so ludicrous on a conscious level, because I know that at the time I made the what I thought was the right decision for myself and my family at the time, right? Because we always do the best we can with what we know right now in this instant. And that's the only time we can make a decision, is right now in the present moment. So to beat myself up for making a choice and not forgive myself for making a choice that I made, 25 years ago, it's laughable on a conscious level, but subconsciously it will continue to impact me till I 100% forgive myself for that, right? Because that's a ludicrous expectation to set on ourselves, expecting that we would always make the right decision and the right choices. How ridiculous is that? So that's what I'm working on. I'm working on my relationship with myself, my where I am versus where I want to be. So share in the comments below, what area are you working on? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, or contribution. What one are you working on? And then a sentence or two about the story you've been telling us, or the story of where you want to go with it, right? The situation. Describe the situation. Know the who, what, where, when, why, and how, and not the how so much, but who, what, where, when, and why, because our why is what will drive us. Why do I want to change the relationship I have with myself? Because I know that changing that foundational relationship, because that's where everything begins for each and every one of us. We can't love anyone more than we love ourselves. We can't give any more value to people than we feel valuable, that we have the value to give in ourselves. So that's mine. What is yours? Share it in the comments below. That is our action item today. And of course, tomorrow we will hop into, all right, now what are we going to do about it, right? We know what it is. We know where we are. We know where we want to go. What are we going to do about it to get us there as quickly as possible? All right, have an awesome day. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.